Welcome, foolish mortals. There's no turning back now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 12 of the Disney Life Happy Wife podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things Disney, not just Disney movies, not just Disney TV shows, not just Disney World or Disneyland, the Disney parks. We talk about all things Disney here at Disney Life Happy Wife. So welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Kristen, and you know me. If it's a Disney life, then I am a happy wife. How's everybody doing? How are you doing this fine week? I know that I'm doing pretty good. It's been a great week. I am so excited about the big news that Disney had starting yesterday. If you're a Disney fan, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yesterday was the very first launch of the brand new Disney streaming system. Now, they've been talking about this for a while. Disney has not had their own streaming system. It was only a matter of time before they did, and everybody was up in arms because all of the great Disney shows were going to leave Netflix, and everybody was all upset about it. And Disney's like, well, we're starting our own streaming system, so there you go. And I'm super excited. We signed up. They had this really great deal to sign up over the summer, and you could get 3 years for a really great price. I missed that boat, so we signed up for a year. Next week, I'm going to get into Disney Plus a little bit more. So the Disney Plus Disney streaming system is amazing. We have watched it every morning with Emily. We watched it yesterday. We watched it today. It's great. I love the fact that I am introducing her to cartoons that were around when I was a child. So I love that. So it's really great. Like I said, I'm going to go into that next week. Next week's episode number 13, is going to be all about Disney Plus. I'll go into the pricing. I'll go into the shows that you're going to see, TV shows, movies, originals, all that. I plan on watching a few of the originals this week, and I'm going to, review those through next week's episode. So it rolled out, in the US and Canada, I believe, just there yesterday. And I know I have some friends on Instagram that live over in the UK. Sorry, you guys. I guess they don't get it until next year. So I think Australia and New Zealand are next, and then over in Europe is after that. So sorry, guys. I'm sorry that you guys don't get to see it. It's awesome. Just be super excited about it. And I know so many people are posting things, and everybody that doesn't have it yet is sad about it, but it's awesome. So love Disney Plus so far. I'm super excited. We were anxiously waiting for it. And yesterday morning, I woke up super early, and I was already downloading the app to every form of TV or every form of media, I guess, that we have. So like TVs and phones and iPads and all that, tablets, whatever, everything that I could, we have it. So I have it on my TV in the bedroom. We have a Roku there, so I have it there. I have it on the PlayStation in the living room, and I have it on my phone and Emily's phone. So we have it everywhere, and we're very excited about it. So like I said, third time I'm going to say it. Next week, that episode is going to be all about Disney Plus, so I'll get into some of the great shows that Emily gets to watch from when I was a kid, like Adventures of the Gummy Bears and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, the original DuckTales. And I'm going to review some of the new original movies that they have that are just coming to Disney Plus, like the live action Lady and the Tramp, which we cannot wait to watch, and the new Christmas movie, Noelle, starring Anna Kendrick, which should be hilarious because she's amazing. And I'm so excited to talk about it. So next week, I will talk all about Disney Plus. It'll be everything from the pricing of it to what you're going to see on there. So I'm going to give myself a good week of watching Disney Plus a lot, and I'll give you everything, okay? So it'll be the good, the bad, the ugly, the reviews of the new movies that are original, and all of that. So next week, all about Disney Plus. So let's get into today's episode. What's today's episode about, Kristen? Well, so we're going to go back to Walt Disney World today. I know we've done a couple of lists and all of that, so we're going to head back over to Walt Disney World and talk about something that, not a lot of people will necessarily talk about. It's not like it's taboo or anything, but it's not exactly the most exciting thing to talk about with Disney. But being a Disney mom, a Disney travel agent, a big fan of Disney, it's good to get the information out there to people that may not necessarily know. People that are planning their first Disney trips, people that have been but may not know this information. So I want to get it out to you. It may not be the most exciting, but I like it and it's good to know. So today we're going to talk about the modes of transportation that they have at Walt Disney World. Now, we were talking with a good friend of mine and she didn't know about some of these. So I want to get that information out there. That was kind of the whole reason that I wanted to talk about this today. We were talking, my friend and I and my husband, and we were sitting around and we were talking and, we were talking about going to Disney and what we like to do and all of that. And she was like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that. So I was like, well, you know what? On the podcast, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about all the different kinds of transportation that they have in Walt Disney World. So for today, for the modes of transportation, let's get right into it. Now, the most popular mode of transportation that they have at Walt Disney World, I'm not sure if it's the most popular, but it's definitely the most popular form that they have there. And by most popular, it's the most accessible, I guess we'll say. So the most accessible form of transportation is the bus, of course. Not only can you take it from your resort to the parks, from, Disney Springs to your resort, from the parks to Disney Springs, all that kind of stuff. Not only can you do that, but you also can take the bus from the airport to your resort. Many people don't necessarily know about this. It is the Magical Express. You have to make sure that you get that information to your travel agent, your flight information and everything, to your travel agent, when you're booking, or make sure that you get it to Disney when you book. Very, very important. That way you can get the Magical Express. I know when you're signing up for Disney, they have options for you for mode of transportation for when you get there. And one of them is the Magical Express, which is a bus that picks you up at the airport and it will take you directly to your resort. And one of the best things about the Magical Express is that they will send you these luggage tags if you're checking a bag, and you put it on. It's a bright yellow tag, and you put it on, and when you check your bag at the airport, they will then take that and it goes, on your plane, goes with you to Disney, but you don't stop at baggage claim. So you don't go get your bag. Magical Express will take your bag and it will magically be there, later in that day. So if you get there, like my family, we get there super early in the morning. And when we get there, we don't necessarily need to worry about it. We make sure that we pack for everything that we need during the day. Like we pack an extra set of clothes for each of us, and we pack everything that we'll need for the park that day, because usually our first day will go to the park for the day. So we pack everything that we would need for that very first day, even a set of pajamas, and we'll hop on the Magical Express with our carry-on bags, leave our checked bags there, so the Magical Express takes it, and we will jump on the Magical Express, and we will head to our resort. Any bags that we have that we're not going to take with us into the park that day, all of the Disney resorts have a luggage service, a baggage service, I guess we'll say, where you can take your bags over there and they will hold them for you for the day. And, you can go to the park that day and not worry about them, and then head back at the end of the day, give them the ticket that they give you, and they will give you back your bags. And you can just take them and go. We have been lucky enough that I want to say most of the times that we have gone to Disney, we have gotten into Orlando, and literally I get a message on my phone that says, your room is ready. This is your room number. Head on over. Your magic band will unlock. There you go. So we haven't had to use that a lot, but one of the best features about the Magical Express is that you don't have to go to baggage claim. You don't have to worry about carrying around your big checked bags. So it's really great. And they do show up. I don't think it's later than 3:00. So that's really great. We get back there, our bags are there, and we can just rest, and we don't have to worry about it. So the Magical Express is great. You do have to be back at your resort on your last day 3 hours before your flight takes off. So if you are taking off really early in the morning, not even really early, if you're taking off at let's say 10 o'clock, you have to be at your resort by 7. That's when the Magical Express is going to come get you. So, I mean, that is kind of a downer. That's why we always try and stay as late as possible on the very last day. So there's that. Magical Express, absolutely great. It's complimentary, so it's free. So if you don't do it, then shame on you, I guess. But some people like to do car rentals, which I'll talk about. So the bus is the most accessible and the most popular form of transportation in Walt Disney World. The Magical Express takes you from the airport, from MCO, to your resort, which is awesome. Also takes you from your resort to MCO. So it's great. And obviously there are the buses that go in between, the resorts to the parks to Disney Springs, and all of that. Now, here's my opinion on the bus. I am not a fan of the buses at all. I really don't like them because they are very crowded. And being a mother, I have had more than one time where I have gotten on the bus with my child and people do not stand up. And I'm not even talking about for myself. I'm talking about for my kid. A bus jostles around. My kid's not necessarily going to have the best balance to, grab onto something, or it's like, how do I protect her? She's on this bus, and if she gets jostled around, like if she falls over and gets hurt, it's just a shame, that some people don't have better manners. If we're on the bus and, we all have a seat, my husband, myself, and I, and we see somebody get on, a mom with a baby or kids, we'll stand up to let those kids sit. And, I'll usually stand right there by Emily and, make sure I'm right there for her. But I don't want little kids to be standing when they could be sitting. And the worst time I think that it was is the very first time that we took Em with my best friend and her family, and my nephew, my best friend's youngest son, was probably about 3-4 years old, and Emily was 10 months. And so they're both really young, and it was late at night, and we were heading home. I think it may have been after the Halloween party. I don't remember exactly what night it was, but we were heading home, and Emily was asleep in my arms, and my nephew was asleep in my best friend's arms. And we're standing there waiting for the bus, and then, a long line forms for the bus, and there are people that are handicapped that are getting on. So, of course, they let the people that are in wheelchairs that are handicapped on, and the bus driver saw us, and he says, I'm going to let these people on that are in the handicap lane, and then I'm going to let you guys on. That way you guys get a seat. Well, he let the people that were in the handicap line on, and their whole families. So it wasn't just like 2 people, it was like 15 people got onto the bus. And then more people got on right behind them. And instead of my best friend and I getting a seat, we ended up standing. And Disney has some of these buses that are, I want to call them double layer buses because it's like 2 buses connected. So they're extra long, but if you're in the middle of that part, if you have nowhere to stand and you end up in the middle, it kind of sways back and forth. You're getting pushed up against it, and it's not comfortable. And that's where we ended up. So my best friend and I, who were standing there holding sleeping children and trying to stay upright on this bus, it was horrible. I was so mad. And I'm not a huge fan of the bus. I don't like the fact that people can be so rude to do that. And I mean, I don't blame anybody, that gets on the bus, but it's like if you see a mom carrying a child, then please get up and let that mother sit. If you see someone who's elderly, get up and let them sit. If you're over the age of, 13, you could probably be able to stand. If you can reach something to hold on to, then you can stand. It's just, use common sense, use good manners, all that kind of stuff. So, I'm not a huge fan of the bus. The Magical Express, I love. I am not a huge fan of the regular buses that go from the resorts to the parks. They are just too crowded, and you usually have to stand in line and wait forever for a bus to get there. It takes a long time, and it's just overly crowded, and I just don't like it. So, not a huge fan of the resort to park bus, but I am a huge fan of the Magical Express. So let's move on to the next form of mode of transportation. Next on my list is the monorail. Now, the monorail is awesome. I love the monorail. I have never, since I was a kid, I guess, I've never stayed at a resort that is on the monorail. The monorail is connected to one park and the Ticket and Transportation Center, the TTC. So it's iconic to Disney. It's just what it is. It's iconic. You'll see people with their Christmas trees, and they have the monorail going around the bottom of their Christmas trees. You see people playing with monorail toys. It's just iconic to Walt Disney World. So resorts that are on the monorail system are the Contemporary, which it literally goes through the resort, the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian. So those 3 hotels are on the monorail system, and it connects them to Magic Kingdom. You can also get off the monorail at the Magic Kingdom and head over to the TTC, the Ticket and Transportation Center. And from there, you can go to Epcot. So it's pretty cool. And you can also walk from the Polynesian to the Ticket and Transportation Center and go over to Epcot, which is really great. So I love that. It's absolutely great. It's free. It's not like you have to pay for it. And I love that you can get up on the monorail and just check everything out. I'm not a huge fan of heights, so I don't like to sit right on the edge and look. But I love the fact that, kids can look and see what's going on, and it's really fast. Not really fast, I shouldn't say, but it's pretty speedy. So you get to where you need to go pretty quickly. So I love that. I think it's great. It can be a bit crowded at times, depending on what time of day you're going and what stop you're at. So it can be a little crowded sometimes, but I absolutely love it. It is, it's an iconic form of transportation at Disney World. So who would not want to try that at least once? I know when we go to Ohana at the Polynesian for breakfast, or we go to the Grand Floridian Cafe, or 1900 Park Fair at the Grand Floridian, we will hop on the monorail usually and head over to the Magic Kingdom for the day. So it's great. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend taking it. So let's see. Our next form of transportation is water transportation. Did you know that they had water transportation at Disney? It's so cool. So the boats that they have there, they have ferry boats and water taxis, and there is literally a form of water transportation at almost every Disney park. Obviously, the only one that isn't is Animal Kingdom, because there's no form of water around there. So in the Magic Kingdom area, you can take the boat from Magic Kingdom to the TTC. You can also go to several of the resorts that are on the lake that they have there. So resorts that you can go from Magic Kingdom by boat to are the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian, Fort Wilderness, and the Wilderness Lodge, which is great. Our next trip, we were originally going to stay at Wilderness Lodge, and one of the best things about it was the fact that we could take the boat to Magic Kingdom, and we could take it to the TTC, and we could do that. So it was really great. We are not staying at Wilderness Lodge anymore, so it's kind of a bummer, but still very cool. You can also take the boat. There's also a boat over in the Epcot Hollywood Studios area. It picks you up at the International Gateway at Epcot, and at Hollywood Studios, it's right there in the main area. It also connects to the Boardwalk Resort, the Beach Club, Yacht Club, and Swan and Dolphin Resorts. So it's pretty cool. And there's also a water transportation boat system over at Disney Springs. Did you know that? Very cool. So it connects Disney Springs to a few different resorts. It goes to Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter, Old Key West, and Saratoga Springs. It's really cool. So we've stayed at Riverside a couple of times, and we absolutely love it there. And we have taken this water taxi ferry over to Disney Springs, and that's the way that we get to Disney Springs when we're at Riverside. And we love it. It's not fast, it's pretty slow, and it's great to see the other resorts from like a back side of the resorts. So it's super cool to kind of see what they look like, and I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it. If you can take one of the boats, one of the ferries or water taxis in Disney, do it. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So something that people may not know about, and this is something that my friend didn't know quite that much about, is that besides the buses and the monorail and the boats, there are also other vehicles, other automobiles that you can take from resorts to the parks, from the parks to Disney Springs, from Disney Springs to wherever, that people may not necessarily know about or may not necessarily think of. Now, the first time we did this was Emily's first time in Disney World, and we actually did this from our resort to Universal. We went to Universal for the day, which was great. For me, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and we took a taxi. Now I know what you're thinking. All the other forms of transportation are free, but this one isn't. And it was not. I mean, it's the price you pay. You're by yourself. You're not sharing your form of transportation with anybody. It's just you. So yeah, you have to pay for it, and it is what it is. But we actually like the convenience of taking a taxi. Or Disney's new form of the taxi service, their minivans, which is actually done through the Lyft app, which is a rideshare app. And we love the minivans. Love, love, love. And it's like the highest form of a Lyft service. So like probably their most expensive. And I love it. I highly, highly, highly recommend the minivans. They're these cute little SUVs that are red with white polka dots because they're minivans, of course. Mini, MINNIE vans. How cute is that? Disney themed, and you have a Disney cast member that is driving you. Not just some random person, it's a Disney cast member. And they have Disney music playing on the radio. You know, if you're going from, let's say you're going from the Magic Kingdom over to Port Orleans Riverside, they are going to have themed music to your resort. So you're going to get to listen to themed music to Riverside. Say you're going from Riverside to Magic Kingdom. They'll have music that's themed to Magic Kingdom. It's so great. And now all the forms of transportation that I've talked about so far, what's the one thing that you might think, what are they missing? Yes, they're free, but what are they missing? If you have a small child, they are missing car seats. Well, guess what? Minivans do not miss car seats. They have car seats in them. Each minivan carries 2 car seats. And I love that. I have a 4-year-old girl, and I love the fact that the minivans have car seats, that Emily can be safe while she's in one of these vehicles. I love that. I think it's amazing. And you don't even have to set it up. I've never seen anybody set up a car seat as fast as the cast members that drive the minivans. Never. And I thought my husband and I were pretty quick with setting up Em's car seat. I thought we were fast. These guys are faster. They're amazing. And I mean, I know they have to be quick, but I've never seen anybody set a car seat up that fast. And just this year, Disney is also offering the minivans to and from the airport. And I had just checked into this, and as a travel agent, I think it's a great add-on. But for our family, it didn't turn out to be, the best solution. So with the Magical Express, they take your checked bags and they'll deliver them to your room. Well, with the minivans to and from the airport, you have to take your bags. So it's not quite as great, but you're still getting that one-on-one time. I think the big plus about it is that you don't have to wait in line for the Magical Express and you don't have to wait for them to pick you up. So it is a little bit expensive too. It's $150 one way. So if you're going round trip with the minivans to and from the airport, it's $300. So you kind of have to weigh that option if it's worth it to you. So there we go. So taxis and minivans, not a whole lot of people know about all of this. So it's really great. I love the minivans. So I always highly recommend them. And I know in another episode, we're going to move on to the next mode of transportation. So I know we talked about the Skyliner, and there have been issues with the Skyliner. It's brand spanking new to Walt Disney World just in 2019. We're a few months out. So there's, bound to be glitches with this, form of transportation. It's not something I think I will ever take. It goes up very high for me. I have a very big fear of heights, which, it is what it is. So it's why I don't like some rides, because of my fear of heights. So I don't know that I will ever take it. It's a gondola system that goes up in the air. You go above resorts, behind parks. It's high up in the air. We've talked about it before in previous episodes. The Skyliner does look amazing, though. It does look really cool, and you get this great view. So if you don't have a fear of heights, I do recommend checking it out. It is free, so I recommend checking it out if you don't have the fear of heights. So resorts that are connected on the Skyliner is the Riviera, brand new resort. It's not even open yet. It doesn't even open until December. The Riviera, the Caribbean Beach, Pop Century, and Art of Animation are all connected there. You can also pick it up at the International Gateway in Epcot and at Hollywood Studios. Now, if you're a big fan of the International Gateway, so what is that? The International Gateway is another way to get into Epcot. It's through the World Showcase right by Paris, and right by France, I should say, not Paris. So right by France. And so you go in right through there, and it's another way to get in. And if you know this, you know that going through there, it's not busy. They literally have, I think, 2 lanes that you can get in through, and it's not busy. It's a great way to get into the parks without having to wait through the huge line coming through the other way. We usually, when we go to Epcot, we'll go to a restaurant that's at the Beach Club for breakfast, or we'll go, somewhere on the boardwalk, and then we'll walk over to the International Gateway, and we'll go into Epcot that way. So with the Skyliner coming in, I have a feeling that the International Gateway is going to get so much busier, which I'm not a fan of. So that's a downer for me. But we'll see. When we go in February, I'm obviously not going to ride the Skyliner. I don't know that my husband and daughter will either. But we definitely will be going through the International Gateway. So I'll let you guys know after we go and see how busy it is. If you've been and you know what it's like to go through the International Gateway with the Skyliner and everything and the boats over there, let me know. Let me know what it's like and how busy it really is over there. So last mode of transportation I'm going to talk about today is you can get a car rental. I have never done a car rental, but like I said at the beginning, when you're planning your trip and you're going through the modes of transportation to get you from the airport to your resort or to the parks, it asks you, several different options. And one of those options is actually a car rental. And it is, I think, a car rental, for me, one of the best parts. So we'll say this. For me, one of the best parts is not having to drive. Do I think it's something that I would like to try to check it out? Sure. But I don't necessarily think it's the best idea. I'll say that. So I know that there are people that love it. They swear by driving. by renting a car and driving when they're down there. They don't have to wait for the bus. They don't have to wait in line for the Skyliner or the monorail or the boats or anything like that. They can just go get in their car and drive back to their resort. They don't have to wait in line, which is the plus. But they're also paying for it. So you kind of have to weigh the options with renting a car. And one of the podcasts that I'm a huge fan of, they're a great Disney podcast, Unlocking the Magic, with Connie and Bruce. They're amazing. I love them. They're from New England. And they are fans of renting a car. So they've talked about it before on their podcast about how they like renting a car and doing that there because it really does work for their family and everything. So there are some people that are, pro car rental, and there are some people that are just like, I just don't want to bother with it. And I think so far that's what my family is. My husband drives a lot for work. He is mobile and he's constantly driving. So he's just like, no, I don't want to rent a car. I don't want to drive. I want somebody else to drive me. I don't blame him. So car rentals, maybe we'll try one someday. But as of right now, I don't think we're going to. So that's it for our mode of transportation episode for today, folks. So let's see, what did we talk about? We talked about the buses, the Magical Express and the Resort to Park buses. We talked about the minivans, the Skyliner, the boats, the monorail, and we talked about car rentals. So if there's anything that I missed, I feel like I talked about everything, but if there's something that I missed, please let me know. I'll talk about it next week. And yeah, just email me or DM me and let me know. So my email is podcast@manysidesofmom.com. I know I said last week that I was going to get a new one and I was going to change that, so I forgot. Oops, sorry. So hopefully this week I will remember and I'll get to that. And I'll get you a more simple email. So email me or DM me on any social media and let me know if I forgot any. Also, let me know what your favorites are. I want to know what your favorite mode of transportation is at Disney World and see if it's the same as mine, which I actually didn't tell you what my favorites were. So my favorites, and I think you probably could tell. So my favorite forms of transportation, modes of transportation at Disney, my number one favorite is the minivan. And my number two favorite is the boats, the water taxis or the ferries. And if I had to pick a three, I'd probably pick the monorail. So those are my favorites. Love them, love them, love them. You guys know why. I already told you. So that's it for today. It's been a good episode. I'm glad that I got to talk to you guys about the different forms of transportation. Follow me on social media. Facebook and Instagram are the same. It's at Disney Life Happy Wife Podcast. Twitter, it is at DLHW Podcast. So follow me there, DM me there if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything. So is there something you want me to talk about? Hit me up there. Or you can email me at podcast@manysidesofmom.com. Listen to me for, wherever you want to listen to this podcast, wherever, besides where you're listening now. You can listen to me on the blog, theManySidesOfMom.com. You can listen to us on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. So lots of places. Pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. So go listen. There's no excuse not to listen. So if wherever you're listening now, if it's not the form that you want to be listening on, then head over to a new spot. So we've got plenty of places. I'm also going to be trying to get my podcast up on YouTube as well. So once that's live, I will let you guys know. So go follow, listen, subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, and give us a review. I love to get reviews. I will definitely share all my reviews on the podcast the next week. So there you go. So thank you guys for listening. I love being able to bring my Disney knowledge and my love of Disney to you guys, and it makes it so worthwhile to record this and send it out to you guys every week. So I love it. Thank you guys for listening so much. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Same day, same channel. I will be here with you guys.